today's presentation, we're going to be dealing with, or we're going to deal with, or we're going to find solutions with that of the oblique triangle. Since in our previous video, we are only dealing with right triangles. So, in this presentation, we will try to at least find ways on how are we going to find the missing parts of an oblique triangle. Okay, so as we have mentioned from our first video on this course, that oblique triangles are triangles which consist of no right angle, meaning to say it can either be an acute triangle or an obtuse triangle. Okay, so let us consider this triangle ABC. And if you would notice, triangle ABC here is an oblique triangle, particularly at an acute triangle. Okay, and we name its side prior to the angles opposite to it. If we have angle A here, then the opposite side would be named as small letter A, and then so on and so forth. Okay, sir, masasayang po ba yung natutunan natin from our previous discussion regarding right triangles? No. We will find ways, since trigonometric functions were derived from right triangles. I-apply pa rin natin yung natutunan natin kay right triangles sa paghanap ng solusyon sa pagsosolve naman ng oblique triangles. Okay? So if you would notice, if I am going to put an altitude here, by the way, an altitude is a height of a triangle. If I'm going to put an altitude here from point C to point D, which is perpendicular to side AB or side C, that will form two right triangles. Okay? Our oblique triangle will be divided into two smaller triangles, and those small triangles are actually what? Are actually right triangles. Those are right triangles CAD and right triangle CBD. Okay? Let us name that as H. How are we going to find the measure of H? So, in this presentation, hanapin natin yung relationship ng angles ni oblique triangle with that of its opposite side. Okay? By what? By finding the measure or representing the measure of H or the altitude. Okay? So, sa ating pinag-aralan, how are we going to find the value of H prior to angle A? Since prior tayo kay angle A, si A should be our opposite side and B would be our hypotenuse. So, balik tayo sa concept ni Sohcahtoa. Among the three, sino kaya dito or alin dito yung magbe-best fit dun sa ating situation? Prior to angle A, our H is our opposite side and B is our hypotenuse. So definitely that would be the sine function. Ibig sabihin, for us to get the value of H, we have the sine of A equals the opposite, which is actually our H or height, over the hypotenuse, which is B. And in this case, para ma-solve natin si H, we are to multiply both sides by B para ma-eliminate yung B sa denominator on the other side of the equation. That will yields to H equals B times the sine of A. Okay, so we have just represented the value of H in terms of the sine of the angle multiplied by the side of an oblique triangle. That is prior to the first right angle that we have formed, right triangle CAD. Let us now go with the second right triangle, that is right triangle CBD. Okay, so how are we going to represent again the measure of H using the angle or the angles and the sides of the oblique triangle? Prior to angle B na tayo. Okay? Since prior tayo kay angle B, si H pa rin yung magiging opposite side natin at si A naman yung magiging hypotenuse. And still, we're gonna be dealing with the sine function. So, for us to find the value of H, we have sine of B equals the opposite side, which is actually H, over the hypotenuse, which is A. And in this case, for us to get the value of H, we need to multiply both sides by A para ma-eliminate si A sa denominator. And that will yields to H equals A times the sine of B. Okay? So, we have just represented the value of H in terms of the sine of the angles of the oblique triangle and the side of it. Okay? So in this case, we have equation 1 and then we have equation 2. We can actually what? We can actually both equate this into one equation. 'Di ba? Since pareho naman siyang value ni h, so we can say that b sine of a is definitely equal to a sine of b. Since pareho naman siyang value ni h. Okay? In this case, pwede naman nating i-divide both sides by sine a or the sine of a para b na lang yung matira sa kabila. That would be equivalent to b equals a sine of b over sine of a. And then, para a naman yung matira dun sa numerator natin sa kabila, we can actually divide both sides by sine of b, yielding to b over sine of b equals that's a over sine of a. Over sine of a. Okay. So in this case, we have just what? We have just formed the concept regarding the side and the sine of the opposite angle. Ibig sabihin, sabi dito, the side is the ratio of the side with that of the sine of its opposite angle is proportional to the other side and the sine of the opposite angle of the other of the oblique triangle. Ibig sabihin, yung concept natin, we can rephrase it into this one. We can say that the sine of the angle is proportional to its opposite side. Okay? And that is what we so called the law of sines. Okay? Since we're dealing with sines here, if you would notice, puro sine function tayo. Okay? That is just prior to this altitude. All right? So if you still remember, during your geometry class, a triangle has 3 vertices, 3 sides, and so it has 3 angle bisectors. And if you still remember, a right triangle, we can illustrate 3 altitudes on a right triangle. So isa pa lang ito. So isa pa lang iyan na altitude na draw natin doon sa oblique triangle. So we can actually repeat the process prior to the other angles. And kapag inulit natin yung process na yon, we can still have the same concept, or we can still arrive at this in this equation. But may iba nga lang. We have a over sine of a equals c sine over sine of c, or we have b sine over sine of b equals c over sine of c. So we can definitely say that the law of sines tells us that b over sine of b equals a over sine of a equals what? Equals c over sine of c. So ito po yung sinasabi ni law of sine. Or we can actually what? We can actually have its reciprocal. Since ratio naman ito, so pwede natin siyang pagbalik na rin. We can actually have the sine of a. Sige, gawin na natin. I-alphabetize na lang natin. Sine of a equals sine of a over a equals sine of b over b equals sine of c over c. So this is what the law of sines tells us. Okay? That the sine of the angle is proportional to its opposite side. Okay? And in finding solutions using or in solving oblique triangle using the law of sines, it can only just be applied in these two conditions. Okay? Law of sines can only be applied if we are given two angles in the side of the oblique triangle or two sides in an angle opposite one of them. Okay, bakit? Kasi hindi tayo makakabuo or hindi tayo makakahanap ng proportion kung walang isang angle at isang side. Tama po? Alright. So yun po yung dahilan kung bakit ito yung conditions ni law of sine. Kailangan may dalawang angles ka or at isang side Or, kailangan may dalawa kang side at isang angle na kung saan yung angle na yon ay opposite dun sa isang sides or dun sa isang side na given mo. Alright? So, that is what we so-called the law of sines. Alright, let us now apply the law of sine in solving problems regarding oblique triangles. Okay, let us consider this problem. It says here that we have to solve the right triangle for which angles A and B measures 51.2 degrees and 48.6 degrees respectively, and side A measures 23.5 units. Okay, so in solving problems like this, it would be very important for us to illustrate first the given. Okay, suppose we have here the oblique triangle wherein angle A measures 51.2 degrees and angle B which measures 48.6 degrees, wherein angle C is unknown, and then we are also given side A. Side A is the side which is opposite to angle A. That is why nandito siya. So we have A equals 23.5 units, and then we are still need to look for side B and side C. Okay? So ito po yung problem natin. In this case, we're gonna be applying the law of sine since we are given two angles and a side. Okay? So unahin na nating isolve yung madali. And that is for us to solve for angle C. Okay? And for us to solve for angle C, since we are already given with the measures of the angles A and B, we can actually what? We can actually apply the relationship or the knowledge that we knew from the very beginning that the sum of the angles of a triangle is always 180 degrees. So we can say that A plus B plus C equals 180 degrees. Okay? So, pwede po yun. Alright, so ito po yung ating relationship. So, hindi na po natin ito mababago dahil ito naman po ay true to all triangles. Okay? Since si A, ang value ni A, 51.2 degrees. And so, si B naman ay 48.6 degrees. And unknown si C, so we'll leave C as it is. So we have plus C equals 180 degrees. And in this case, we're going to what? We're going to add this one. That is, so we need calculator. That is 51.2 degrees plus 48.6. And that will yields to 99.8. So that is 99.8 degrees plus C equals 180 degrees. Okay? And in this case, for us to get the value of C, we need to transpose 99.8 degrees to the other side of the equation, making this C equals what? 180 degrees minus 99.8 degrees. Okay? And simplifying this one, we have that is 180 minus 99.8 degrees. So we'll be having 48, or the value of C or the measure of angle C would be 80.2 degrees. Okay? So madali lang po, na-solve na po natin agad yung value ni C. Okay? And that is 80.2 degrees. Alright. There you go. Next is for us to solve for angle or for side B. So to solve for B, or side B, sorry, that will be small case B. We need to what? We need to extract at least a concept from our law. Okay, it's either A over sine A equals B over sine B, or B over sine B equals C over sine C. Since we are solving for B, dapat hindi mawawala si B. Alright? Since ang given natin, sa problem natin, ang given natin is side A at saka si angle A. So, much better na gamitin natin si A over sine A equals B over sine B. So, we have, so copy lang natin to. Alright? That is A over sine A equals B over sine B. Okay? So, we'll be what do you call it, by substituting all the necessary value, or yeah, the necessary values to our formula, we have the value of A, tulad ng sinabi natin, that is 23.5 over the sine of what? The sine of A, the value of A is 51.2 degrees. So we have the sine of 51.2 degrees equals what? Equals, since si B yung hinahanap natin, so we'll leave B as it is over the sine of, what is the sine of B? The sine of B, or the value of B, is 48.6 degrees. So we have over the sine of 48.6 degrees. Okay? And in this sense, para makuha natin yung value ni B, we need to multiply both sides by the sine of 48.6 degrees. So that will yields to the sine of, or 23.5 times the sine of 48.6 degrees. Sorry. Okay. Again, we have 23.5 multiplied by the sine of 48.6 degrees over the sine of 51.2 degrees equals B. Alright? So, pwede naman, dito pa lang, i-ano na natin siya. I-manipulate na natin siya for us to get the value of B. Pwede siya maging B equals A times the sine of B over the sine of A. Pwede naman yan. Alright? So, simplifying all this, pwede naman natin siyang idiretso actually sa ating calculator. That is 23.5 multiplied by the sine, that is 23.5 multiplied by the sine of 48.6 degrees 48.6 degrees over the sine of 51.2 degrees. Alright. So, pwede na po natin siyang idiretso. And that will, and that will yields to okay. Yeah, alright. There you go. Oops, sorry. Okay, again, that is 23.5 multiplied by the sine of 48.6 degrees over the sine of 51.2 degrees. Alright, and that will yields to the value of B, which is 22.62 units. Okay, so rounded off to the nearest 100. So that's gonna be the value of B. Alright. Next, we are to find for the value of C. So for us to solve for the value of C, we still need to apply the law of sine, since we cannot use the Pythagorean theorem since we are dealing with oblique triangle. So to solve for C, so mag-extract ulit tayo from the law of sine. It's either the sine of A equals A over sine of A equals C over sine of C, or B over sine of B equals C over sine of C. So kailangan nandun si C. Alright? Since given tayo sa ating problem, si A at saka si side A, si angle A at si side A. So si A over sine A equals C over sine C na lang yung gamitin natin. Alright? So that is, okay, copy lang natin to. That is A over sine A equals C over sine C. So, tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, before we proceed with the solution of B, pwede naman natin, from the very beginning, i-manipulate na natin agad yung formula. And that will yields to C equals A times sine C over sine of A. Okay, so pwede naman po yan. And then, before tayo plug in ng ating given sa ating formula. So, C would be equivalent to the value of A, which is 23.5 units, multiplied by the sine of A. Again, the sine of C. So, si C po natin kanina, na-compute natin siya as 80.2 degrees. So, we have 80.2 degrees over the sine of A, which is equivalent to 51.2 degrees. So, we have sine of 51.2 degrees. Okay. And in dealing with this, we can actually input it to the calculator straight. So, we have 23.5 multiplied by the sine of 80.2 degrees over the sine of 51.2 degrees. Okay? And by pressing equals, that will yields to 29.71 units. So meaning to say, sine C measures 29.71 units. Alright. That's it. So that's how we solve problems regarding or considering the law of sines. Okay? Alright, there you go. Next, let us proceed with another example. So in this case, we are to solve for the unknown parts of triangle ABC, given that A is equal to 125 degrees and 30 minutes, A equals 200 centimeters, and C equals 150 centimeters. So in this case, so draw muna natin siya. We have that one. Since the angle A is 125 degrees and 30 minutes, we can definitely say that triangle ABC is an obtuse triangle, since angle A is an obtuse angle. Okay? So that, by the way, this is 125 degrees and 30 minutes. Alright, so the value of A is 200 centimeters and C equals 150 centimeters. Okay? Alright. Now, in this case, we are given what? We are actually given two sides and an angle opposite to one of its sides. Okay? And that is yung angle A, which is opposite to side A. Alright, so yun po yung given natin. So, paano naman po natin to isa-solve? Okay? Copyhin lang natin yung law of sine para hindi po tayo malito. So, we have that one. So, we will now be proceeding with problem number 2. Okay. There you go. Alright. So, ang given natin again is angle A, and then we have side A and side C. Alright. So, hindi po natin agad-agad makukuha yung measure ng angles B and C dahil isa lang po yung given na angle. Okay? Ang uunahin natin is for us to get the measure of the one of the two unknown angles. Alright? It's either B or C. Okay? So, since given si C dito at si A, so ang kunin natin would be angle C, since yun yung sinasabi sa given. So, we have sine of A. So, we are to solve for angle C. Alright? So, that is sine of A equals A over sine of A equals C over sine of C. Okay? So, ito po yung magiging formula natin which we extracted from the law of sines. Okay? Since ang given natin is that A is 200 centimeters, angle A is 125 degrees and 30 minutes, and then the value of C, which is 150 centimeters, so i-plug in lang natin siya sa formula. So, pwede naman natin ang gawin, i-manipulate na agad natin yung formula para mahanap natin si angle C, and that is sin C equals by what? By multiplying both sides by sin C and by dividing both sides by C. Alright, so para makuha po natin yan. And that will become, or that will yields to C sine of A, if I'm not mistaken, C sine of A over A. Okay? Tama ba? Tama po ba? We multiply both sides by sine of C. Okay? Sige. Multiply muna natin by alright, sine of C. Tama po ba? Okay. Alright. Sige, ulitin natin. That is, we multiply both sides by sine of C. That will yield to sine of C. The sine of C times A over sine of A equals C. Okay? And then, multiplying both sides by sine of A over A, para matanggal natin ito, that will become sine of C equals C multiplied by sine of A over A. Alright, so tama po yung kanina. So, that is sine of C equals C times the sine of A over A. Alright, and then plugging in the formula, or plugging in the values to our formula, we have the sine of C, since we are looking for the value of the angle, C, that is equivalent to, the value of C is 150, that is 150 centimeters, multiplied by the sine of A, which is equivalent to 125 degrees and 30 minutes. Or you can actually what? You can actually convert it into decimal degrees if you want to. Alright, pero pwede naman natin siyang i-enter sa calculator ng naka-DMS over the value of A, which is equivalent to 200. Okay? Pwede naman natin gawin is kunin muna natin yung value ni sine of 125 degrees and 30 minutes bago natin siya i-multiply by 150 over 200. But since we are blessed with our technology now, we'll be having 150 multiplied by the sine of 125 degrees and 30 minutes. So, yan po. Over 200. Alright, there you go. So, that's gonna be equal to 0.6105866388. Alright, so that is the sine of C equals 0.6105866388. Alright. Now, hindi pa ito yung value ni angle C. Ang hahanapin pa natin is the inverse function by either looking at the table of the trigonometric function values or by using our calculator. So, para makuha natin yan, C would be equivalent to what? To sine raised to negative 1 multiplied by the value, which is 0.61586638. Okay. Alright. And then, i-enter lang natin siya sa calculator, or we can simply wag nating aalisin yung sagot natin kanina. That is shift, sign, and then press answer para ma-recall niya yung sagot natin kanina. And that will yields to 37.63. Alright, again, so the value of angle C, or the measure of angle C, would be 37.63 degrees. Or in decimal degree, or in DMS, that is actually equivalent to 37 degrees, 37 minutes, and 54.96 seconds. Alright, so that will be the value of C. Okay. So we have just solved for the value of C. So now, we can now solve for the value of B. Okay? We are to solve for B. And for us to solve for B, since given na tayo ng value ni C, ni A at saka ni B, ni A at saka ni B, ang gagawin natin is to what? To solve it using our relationship that the sum of the angles of a triangle, of any triangle, is 180 degrees. Alright? Since ang ating value ni A is 125, 125 degrees and 30 minutes. That is actually equivalent to 125.5 degrees. Okay, kapag i-convert natin siya sa decimal degree. Plus, since si B ay unknown, we'll leave B as it is. And then, kanina, we have just solved for the value of C, which is equivalent to 37.63 degrees equals 180 degrees. Okay? And then, pagsasama-samahin na natin siya, that will be equivalent to, alright, that's 125.5 degrees plus 37.63 degrees. And that is equivalent to, this is 125. Alright, that is 163.13. So 163.13 degrees plus B, since B is unknown, equals 180 degrees. And for us to get the value of B, what we're going to do is to transpose, or using the addition property of equality, we have to what? We have to add negative 163.13 degrees to both sides of the equation, or simply transposing 163.13 degrees to the other side of the equation, making this B equals 180 degrees minus 163.13 degrees. Okay. And that will yields to, that is 180 degrees minus 163.13. Alright, and that will yields to 16.87. Meaning to say, angle B measures 16.87 degrees. Or in DMS, that is equivalent to 16 degrees, 52 minutes, and 12 seconds. So, ito na po yung value ni B. Okay? So, we have just solved for the two unknowns. So, natitira na lamang po is yung measure ni side B, if I'm not mistaken. Alright, side B nga ba? Okay, so we are looking for the measure of side B here. Alright, so we have, for us to do that, we need again to extract, since we cannot use the Pythagorean theorem. We need to extract a certain concept from our law of sine. It's either A over sine of A equals B over sine of B, or B over sine of B equals C over sine of C. Okay, so ang gamitin na lang natin will be the first part. That would be A over sine of A equals B over sine of B. And that is for us to solve for B. Alright, so again, we are solving for B, or side B. And that is equivalent to this one. This will be the formula that we're going to use. Okay? And then, tulad sinabi ko kanina, from the very beginning, pwede nyo nang i-manipulate yung ating formula. And that is B equals, para makuha si B, we need to multiply both sides by sine of B. That is equivalent to A sine of B over sine of A. And then extract our, substituting the values to our formula. That is B equals, the value of A here is 200. That's 200 multiplied by the sine of A, which is equivalent to 125 degrees and 30 minutes, or 125.5 degrees, over the sine, sine of B pala, the sine of B. Ang B natin kanina is 16.87. That's 16.87 degrees, over the sine of A, which is the sine of 125.5 degrees. Okay? Pwede natin kunin isa-isa kung gusto natin. Yung sine of 16.87 degrees muna, bago kunin yung sine of 125.5 degrees. And then, bago natin siya i-simplify. But then, using our technology, using our calculator, pwede na po natin siyang idiretso. That is 200 multiplied by the sine of 16.87 degrees over the sine of 125.5 degrees. Alright, and that will yields to 71 point, what? 71.29 units or centimeters. Alright, again, rounded off to the nearest hundreds, that is 71.29 centimeters. Okay, that is according to our law of sine. Alright, there you go. So, we have just solved for the values of the unknowns of a right triangle or of an oblique triangle given two sides and an angle opposite one of them. Okay, so that is the law of sine.